Hello, this is Joseph Gillette Sr. with Global Intel Hub, reporting for our new video format, Intelligence Storm. I sat down with Congressman Tim Burchett, who is critical, if not the prime mover, in the government disclosure movement. And honestly, many of his answers shocked me. And he's real easy to talk to. He's an amazing politician, the way politicians should be. And so it's no surprise that what he's done with disclosure is amazing. And as you can imagine, he's hit a lot of brick walls. But he gave us some suggestions to support him and support disclosure, and some ideas how this can positively impact the economy. Let's see what he had to say.
All right.
Thank you for taking the time today, Congressman. It's great to meet you. Greetings from Knoxville.
Yes, sir. You can call me Tim.
Okay, thank you, Tim. You can call me Joseph.
Yeah, okay, Joseph.
I wanted to talk to you about some of the business angle of the disclosure and UAP. But first, I wanted to ask you how you got into disclosure. Is it just about government transparency, or do you think that there's more to this than just transparency?
Well, that's my angle as a congressman. I've said all along that it's, it's little green men and flying saucers is one thing, but when we spend tens of millions of dollars on an issue, and since 1947, our federal government has said they do not exist, yet they keep spending this money on it, and they don't tell us what they found. To me, that's a real problem. And our Pentagon, as you may have heard, has never passed an audit. They've lost over $500 billion in assets. And so to me, that's a very dangerous proposition all the way around.
Yeah.
And I just feel like the American public needs to know, we deserve to know, it's our money. And this arrogant bunch at the Pentagon who keeps trying to hide this stuff, they need to quit.
Yeah. Do you think that it's positive or negative for the economy?
I don't know. If they, of course, a zero source?
0 point energy.
0 point energy source. I'm sorry. Yeah. I had my nouns mixed up. Yeah, something like that would just turn it all upside down. We wouldn't be in all these worthless wars. It'd put the Pentagon out of business, and our missile defense industry and our war industry would have to go somewhere else. So I'm kind of hoping at some point that some of that stuff becomes available, but I'm afraid what's happened is, and if they do have something like that, which I sort of feel like somebody does, that they would not release it. And the reason they won't release it is because it would upset their industry and their billions of dollars investment. It would put them out of business.
Well, this is kind of a big question for a lot of investors because, like, I'm a Lockheed shareholder. Probably millions of Americans have in their 401k Lockheed. So, if, let's say, Lockheed is manufacturing UFOs in the California desert, is that a bad thing? Like a stock investor, maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. Is it?
Yeah, but I don't think they are. I think if they have a recovered craft, it's so advanced that they and it's so compartmentalized that they're not releasing anything, and no one knows what they're even looking at half the time. It's like if you I'm a motorcycle guy, so if I took a brand new Harley Davidson or a brand new Indian and took it back to the people who landed in America on the Mayflower, what would they do and what would they be able to do? Probably not a whole lot. They'd have a very shiny object that eventually they might get started, but there's no way they're going to know how to put. They're not going to be able to manufacture fuel for it. They're not going to have the tools to take it apart or anything like that, or put air in the tires even. So I feel like we've got something that's so far advanced that we don't know maybe what we have.
Okay, that's interesting. So you don't think that there's like a whole kind of secret industry going on? You think it's kind of like they can't really
If it is, it's very secret. You got to realize you'd have to compartmentalize. All it'd take was one person to walk out of one of those labs, which is kind of what I wished would happen if somebody suspects it. But you're familiar with the process of compartmentalization, I'm sure.
Yeah.
During the Second World War at Oak Ridge National Laboratory, which is in our backyard right now,
Yeah.
there was thousands and thousands of people working on the atomic bomb, yet maybe a half a dozen had any inkling or knew what they were working on even. I mean, husbands and wives and brothers and sisters and moms and dads, and they didn't know what they were working on.
Right. So is there anything that you think that we can do about the fear that the people who don't want disclosure are kind of trying to scare us?
Yeah.
Our
religious beliefs and everything else that's going to upset the markets, upset our way of our thought processes, what have you. No, I think that's just put out there to scare us. And it's an arrogance that they have. And you see that in leadership. You see that at the Pentagon. You see that in our industrial war complex.
What can people who support you and support disclosure, what can the average person do to support you in the whole process? Because
I think they can vote for people, and it's across the aisle too. I have some friends that are Democrats, because every time I go out in public, someone brings it up in a positive manner, actually. And you have a few elites that'll write stuff and whisper about it. And when they do, I think you ought to call them or write letters to the editor and say, hey, this is a real deal. I was with a multimillionaire last week, very prominent business person in our community, who is a big believer in UFOs. And I spoke down in Lenore City last week, or at the Village, they call it, in Loudon, and excuse me, not Lenore City, Loudon. And there's over 100 people there that had paid to come hear me talk about UFOs. And these are educated people, military backgrounds, incredibly intelligent folks.
that's awesome.
So over half the population believes something else is out there. And that's why NASA and some of the other alphabet agents and the Pentagon is coming forward with some stuff so that they can claim some of that research money.
Right.
They think they deserve. The problem is they've been studying it for years anyway. They need to just go on and release what they have.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that a point will come where that they sort of, what do you think will happen as far as the singularity of it actually happening? That, there's this kind of Mexican standoff between, people who want it and people who don't want it.
You're going to have somebody in the White House, the president, say enough is enough. Or someone's going to have to walk out with one of those labs with undeniable proof. Because they're going to tell us where something is. And then by the time this glacier that we call Congress moves, it won't be there.
So probably after the election.
Probably, if it happens at all. But they hope they're going to beat a bunch of us. I mean, that's what they're running against me on. That's their part of the campaign.
Yeah, that's not good, but we'll support you. There's more people that support you and disclosure than that don't. It's just that the people that support you don't have the big money and power to,
That's the beauty of the system. They got that vote, man.
Yeah.
Vote.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time, and we definitely support
Let's stay
you.
in touch. Let's stay in touch.
And,
we need to, I think the more we talk about this, the more, I said at the hearing, the end of our last hearing, the one that I guess was historical, with everybody who was there, Grush and everybody else. I said that, this will help remove some of the stigma that a lot of us have faced, and people that have actually seen something that were afraid to come forward.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a huge step in the right direction. And I think it's important to engage the business community, investors, and because a lot of these companies that are involved in this are, people work there, I mean, we've got Oak Ridge. I don't know if any of this topic is in our district, in your district, but Oak Ridge is a engineering capital.
Yeah, I talked to some people at Oak Ridge at one time about it when this was coming on. I said, there are going to be research dollars involved in this, that they ought to start looking into it. And they kind of had this glazed look on their face, like I was an idiot. But that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll all come full circle.
I think some of the people they have advising them are ill advising them.
Yeah. That's probably a big problem. A lot of times you got the big money donors, or big money people have a lot of advisors and gatekeepers that are kind of incentivized to keep the monopoly the way it is,
Yeah.
and not,
If I thought somebody that was traded on the New York Stock Exchange had access to something like this, I would invest heavily in them.
Well, that's my take on this. I mean, and I wanted to kind of just put an open question to you. I know you can't talk about like stocks or markets, but I mean, I would think that this is a positive thing. I mean, Silicon Valley spends huge dollars on research, and here you've got like something so advanced. It would be,
Yeah.
a positive thing. It would create jobs. And so I would think that some corporate interests should be kind of behind disclosure,
100%. 100%.
so we'll keep spreading the word, and keep
the
supporting
pressure.
you.
Keep the pressure on. It's the right thing, and we need to get it out there.
Well, thank you, Congressman, for taking the time, and we greatly appreciate you being in DC and working hard for us.
Thank you, brother. Anytime, if you ever want to get a hold of me, just call Denise, and we'll set up and go to lunch or something if you got a group of people that want to talk about this.
Okay, sounds great.
Thanks, brother. See
Thank
ya.
you. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.